sample forgiveness calculation on the PPP program funded by the SBA, and we're going to talk about how the forgiveness calculations work. And basically, there are three tests. There's a 75% payroll test, a headcount or a full-time equivalent test, and a 25% compensation reduction test. Right now, we're only going to talk about the 75% payroll cost test. And just to note that the government said it would issue additional guidance on these calculations within 30 days of the in which the CARES Act became law, which was March 27th, and it hasn't happened yet. It was supposed to happen by April 26th. So let's look at what we do know for the calculation, and let's see how this works. So, looking at the forgiveness calculations, we have some sample data here. So, looking at the sample data, we have the basic components that create the forgiveness or allowable expenses in the forgiveness test. And they are the payroll costs, which include group health insurance, 401k, and state unemployment taxes. Mortgage interest, rent expense, utilities, and interest on other loans are generally considered the other costs that are allowable. Now, as you can see, if I group these, I have $101,000 of payroll costs and $46,000 of other costs. Based on the 75% test, I'm not going to get all of my other costs allowed. Basically, I have $147,000 of costs associated with the 8-week period. But because of this 75% payroll test, I'm only going to be allowed $134,000 is going to be my limitation on my forgiveness. So let's kind of run through these calculations and see how they work. Basically, there's three steps. First, we're going to calculate the payroll costs. And the payroll costs I have in red here because there's an issue as to what that means, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We're going to add the group health insurance to it, and that gives us a total payroll cost of $101,000. Now, to figure out what the gross is, we divide the $101,000 by 75%, and the maximum forgivable amount is $134,000. Now, if we look at $134,000 as the maximum forgiveness amount, we subtract out what the payroll costs are, and the maximum forgivable other costs are $33,667. Now, all we did in our simulation tool is we allocated those amongst the allowed expenses and reduced each one proportionally. Now, when we talk about payroll costs in this step one, we don't really know what that is. I mean, we believe that it is the total payroll cost that you have during the 8-week period. But it also could be the payroll reduced by the 25% compensation test, which means this number might be lower. Or it could be the payroll cost reduced by the headcount test. We don't believe that's true, or that's the way they'll look at it. We believe that they will look at this just as the 8-week period payroll costs. That the 8-week period obviously is the 8-week spending period. So as these calculations change, all of our calculations will change and tell us what's allowable. So when you get to the actual simulation tool, these are the things that are going on behind the scenes that we really don't spell out because there's no need for it, but these are the calculations that are built into the simulation tool.